Okay, I wanted to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about some of like the frequently asked questions I get from agency owners specific to our content, thought leadership, plug and play offer. And I can't do it without giving you like some history and some backstory on us, right? So, we started this agency. I did along with a couple of co-founders 2 years ago. We aimed it specifically at IT consulting firms for two reasons. One, because IT is invariably very difficult. It's very relationship driven, and it's hard to do lead gen, let's call it. And I won't even use that word because it's not appropriate for IT consulting. But basically, a lot of these firms that we were working with were between like 5 and 15 million. They had grown by referrals, word of mouth, network leads, etc. And they get to this point like, hey, we want to grow our firm in a predictable manner, not just rely on whatever comes through the door, right? And so we started working with them to do value forward outreach to their ICP, and to get them into conversations and really to start relationships with very high level, let's call it executives or decision makers that could bring them into the fold for IT consulting deals that were typically, let's call it in the $50,000 to $200,000 range, but their customer lifetime value is like between 200 and a million or more. So anyway, long story short is what we found is, so these guys had nothing, no marketing infrastructure, no anything. And we found is that we started doing cold outreach on LinkedIn, via email, etc. And there was just a stark contrast between what they were used to, which was warm leads that were handed to them through their channel partners or through their network, right? And going out to a cold market. And so we started doing helping them put out content, right? Some of them were just doing podcasts. Some of them were just doing recorded content with them, LinkedIn live events, both with them as well as maybe their channel partners together. Anyway, what happened is that we found is that over time, right, the more this content thought leadership we were putting out there and getting them out in front of the network and top of mind, all that stuff, right? All of a sudden, the cold outreach was getting much easier, right? Like the meeting show rates were improving, right? The same things that we had seen in our agency, the same, sales cycle decreasing, the meeting show rates, the close rates were all that we saw in terms of, because we were tracking metrics much like you probably are as a marketing agency. But what we found is with them is they were seeing the same thing. They were starting to see like this greater impact. And they were saying is like, whatever you guys are doing, it must be working. We're like, we're really not doing anything more than what we were doing before. But what we noticed is like, hey, we've been putting out content for 90 days on your behalf. That's probably having an impact. These LinkedIn live events that you're doing with larger channel partners are having an effect. You're getting this, authority by association, so to speak. So anyway, so the point being is that what we found is everything made that whole lead sales process easier, right? People were showing up for those first introduction meetings and they were like, oh yeah, I've seen your stuff, right? Or I looked you up and I saw, right? And so everything that, from, let's call it, I don't even call it the lead standpoint, but from those initial meetings on, all the metrics were improving dramatically. So when you say like, hey, how does this actually make our leads convert better? That's how. It helps through the entire part of the sales process, right? So it's really not helping the leads convert better. It's helping your clients fix the stuff on their end that's wrong, right? And gives them authority, credibility, trust, helps them position themselves so that when people out in the marketplace, before they get onto a call, before they get onto the meeting, invariably they're looking up these companies. They're looking up the brand, the people that are behind the brand, I should say, right? So that's what helps. It doesn't make the leads convert better. It helps your client, who is the purchaser of your lead or your lead gen services. It helps give them more authority, builds more trust, more credibility, positions them as authority in their niche for their prospects. So hopefully that was a long answer. All right, so here's another one I get. What if my clients say they've tried content marketing before and it didn't work? Yeah, no doubt, right? Like, hey, they put out a post, or they put out a post for a couple of weeks and then they stopped, right? like I said, we've heard it from our own clients. It is consistently putting out true, authentic thought leadership content out in the marketplace. And the best way that we've found to do it is to do these content sessions, these video content sessions that allow that person to speak about what they knew best, right? What is their subject matter expertise? We all have it, right? Like you, I'd like to think of myself as somewhat of a marketing expert. So I'm really good at talking about that. If you ask me to talk about IT data integration, I'm going to look like a clown, right? So essentially, it's the two things. It's getting them to talk about what they know best and putting it out into the marketplace consistently. And by consistently, we do it every day. So, we're doing these content sessions, and that's a great thing about these content sessions. You take a 69-minute content session, you can get between 15 and 20, sometimes even 30 posts, that you can leverage video short and the post on LinkedIn. But even if you just did 15 every other day, right, posting, that's going to, have that consistency that's consistently putting out into the marketplace and keep folks top of mind. So while there's a lot of people who have tried content marketing before, right? Or they've tried to hire a ghostwriter, or they've had someone on their team, some social media person, post out, oh yeah, Merry Christmas to everybody, or hey, or post inspirational quotes. That's not the same thing, right? So that's what I say. Very rarely, in fact, I don't think ever. I think there's probably been one or two clients that we've had that have done a pretty decent job of it before. All right, how long until we start seeing results in lead conversion rates? I'm going to be completely frank here. Typically, it takes 90 days of putting content and thought leadership out for you to start to see the impact on the sales process, right? So if you're providing, leads, lead gen services, whatnot, you start putting, your client part starts putting this content out, this thought leadership out, it's going to take 90 days. Somewhere in there, they'll start to see it. And you can kind of prep them for it. Like, hey, when you're talking to people, ask them, hey, have you seen anything about us? Why'd you get on the call today, right? Like, have we connected on LinkedIn or whatever? And you will invariably get the anecdotal responses from people. Like I said, they'll show up and they say, oh yeah, I saw you, I seen a couple of your posts on LinkedIn and you reached out and I saw, I got that, right? So, but typically I would say you got to have them doing it for 90 days, like consistently doing it for 90 days. And that's when they will start to see it in their sales process. Anecdotally, they'll get it peppered in and here and there. Okay, let's talk about implementation and process. What happens if a client is too busy for the monthly content session? I think the biggest thing we've said is, like, if you can't carve out, 60 to 90 minutes a month for, a content session to record, then let's audit your schedule and see where we can find it, right? But it really is an important part. It's to do a 60, 90 minute. And frankly, as a marketing agency owner, like, you're typically going to have 30 or 45 minute meetings with them once a month anyway. Like, even for our clients, I think we do like 30 minutes a week, but you're going to have that, right? So you can really even incorporate it, be like, hey, you know what, this, on the third week, we're going to do the content session, right? So normally when we'd have our 30 or 45 minute meeting, we're just going to do the content session. But in terms of being too busy for it, that's the whole point of this toolkit that we're giving you, is this ability to take that 69 minutes and leverage that and allow that to go out to their network consistently and keep them top of mind out in the marketplace and expand and grow their own network. What if my client doesn't approve of the content created? Well, the good news is it's in their voice. Like, it's literally the video recording of them. If you get a client that's like, hey, I want to edit and take the ums and ahs out, it's like, I always tell them, it's like, hey, this is about being authentic, right? This is about you. And really what's most important is you talking about your area of expertise and subject matter. In terms of approving the content, they absolutely can if they really want to, right? Like, we can load them into, which we do anyway, load them into the queue into Buffer. And if they want to go through and look at each post before it gets posted, they absolutely can. Typically, we do it on behalf of our clients. You guys can do it on behalf of yours. Take 5 to 10 minutes. I will tell you that our AI engine that we built behind it is darn good. Like, I used to, when we first started using it 6 months ago, I would go in and double check all the postings before they went out, and I would even do some micro editing. And I'm a big copywriter. I don't even do that anymore. I don't even check ours anymore. Now I will on LinkedIn just to see them. I'll just see them come through. But I don't think I've changed an edit on any of them in terms of the text posts in probably 3 or 4 months. Okay, how do you ensure that the content aligns with my client's brand's voice? It's easy one. It's them, right? I mean, you're doing a video content. We're taking it directly from the Q&A content session with them. So it's in their voice. It is in their brand's voice. There is nothing. There's no ghostwriting. There's anything about it. It is in their voice. What is involved in the onboarding process? It's pretty easy. I mean, in terms of from the client agency standpoint, we'll give you, back-end logins to, Buffer, Shield. Everything is pretty seamless. It can really be done in like 30 minutes. And it's pretty easy to do. And then we'll kind of walk you through what a content session would look like, how to do it, how to set up like the questions for it, and just to make it to where it's pretty easy to do. I mean, you can even have someone on your staff do it. So, all right, let's go look at some of the other ones. How can I justify charging $3,000 to $4,000 when I can hire a content writer for less? So there's a few things in there. The $3,000 to $4,000. We're charging $4,500 a month for this. The value proposition is absolutely there. I'm just going by what the market tells us, not by what we think, because that's really what's most important. In terms of hiring a content writer is never going to be in the true voice of the founder, owner, subject matter who has that expertise. It just won't. And ultimately, this is the closest that we have found to be able to leverage the owner, founder, expert into valuable, authentic content. What makes your service different from other content agencies? I've never run a content agency before. All I know is that the way that we are able to capture the voice, the authentic voice of the founder, owner, niche expert, and to do that in a way that allows just to leverage that across, LinkedIn posts in a not only the video format but the text content that goes with it. I don't know. I'm sure there are other agencies that do that. I don't really. It's not really something I've looked into. Why should I pay $1,500 when I could hire someone to do this task? You could. If you had probably, I don't know. You could probably go out and hire like an AI developer, and someone and say, hey, here's what I want. I want something that's basically going to, take this video content and convert it over. So it is something you can do, and that's a decision you have to make. I haven't thought about it. I don't know what ours cost to do, and each one of them is kind of unique, but it is something that you could absolutely do to go out to the market. And if you had 20 clients that were going to do this, then it probably would make sense for you to do that. What if my client wants to talk directly with the content team? I'm not sure what they meant by this question. We're meant to be as white label as you want, right? So like we can kind of be the back engine for you. Like when I've had a number of agencies, I kind of like to own that client relationship. I don't want to hand it over to somebody else. So that's why I'd always like for when we would do white label type services or plug and play type of stuff like this, I would still want to maintain that client facing relationship. And I don't know, I'm big on that. So, and in that case, you're talking directly with the content team. How do I explain this service to my clients without revealing it's white labeled? To really, frankly, we're going to give you all the tools that you need to basically kind of own it. You can tell your client whatever you like, whether it's a back-end engine that you have co-partnered with somebody. But other than that, again, and then it just becomes down to the content sessions. If you don't have someone to do the content session, or you don't want to be responsible for that, or want us to handle it, again, we have a couple of different gals that we use internally for that we can do as well, or just on your behalf. So I don't know if that's a big deal. What kind of reporting can I show clients? That's a good one. So there's a few different things. Obviously, LinkedIn has some analytics. Sales Navigator actually has some good analytics too, that show you where you are. I wish I could show you. I probably could. Maybe I'll have to patch this in. I should have done a better job of this. But Sales Navigator has a place that will show you, what do they call it? Sales something index. But on top of that, we have, let me see if I can share my screen. Should have done this in the first place. Window. Let's see if I can do this. Okay. Oh, here's if you can see this, let me see a flop over here. Yeah. If you see this, this is the SSI. So if you go to Sales Navigator, you have to have a Sales Navigator subscription. And it will show you, oh, this is for mine, which it's not a humble brag or anything. The other is that we hook up all of our clients and ourselves into Shield, which gives some good metrics. So like here is my co-founder, Luke. You can see like he's had some amazing ones. Impressions for this month. Let's see. 1.21. That's total impressions since I want to say the last 3 months that you've been doing it. But so we have these metrics in terms of the impressions, engagements, profile views, followers that you can provide to each of your clients. All right, let me go back and stop sharing, and then let's see. Let's see. How do I explain the service to my clients? No, I already answered that one. It's, by the way, one of the things I thought about is how do I explain the service. We do have like a sales deck that we can provide you as well. It's just specific to this content offer to kind of explain and walk them through them, which we're happy to do. So I'll give that to you. You can just white label and put your brand on there, etc. It's just a Gamma doc. What's the best way to introduce these things to clients? Probably the same way, and we can walk you through the sales deck of what we have used in the past when we had it as a side offering. And it's usually the best through. It's like 7 or 8 slides. And just, again, same thing I said earlier in this conversation in terms of why it's important. And let's see. How do I handle clients who only want lead gen, not content? That's fine. I mean, I would tell you from a long form standpoint, whether it's with us or someone else, every one of your clients, you should be encouraging to put thought leadership and content out there because it's going to make the lead gen process and their sales process much easier, much faster. All their metrics will improve. What if client only wants to try it for a month or two? Again, what I would suggest is 90 days. You just tell them, hey, we're going to do this for 90 days. You'll start to see the impacts on your sales process, at some point in that 90-day time frame. But they'll see anecdotal. People, prospects will show up to meetings and be like, yeah, I've been seeing your stuff, or yeah, I watched some of, I saw, some of your posts on LinkedIn, or I've been seeing you everywhere on LinkedIn. How do you handle LinkedIn access and posting? It's all through the LinkedIn API. So we do not have direct access to the LinkedIn profile. We can't go post anything on their behalf. Everything that goes into, Buffer, which is the platform that we use, it's not a direct access. We don't have direct access to anything other than just posting from Buffer via the API to LinkedIn. Do my clients need special software or tools? Nope, nothing. We will show you how to provide everything, including the recording software platform that we use. How do you handle LinkedIn access? I answered that one. What happens if there's technical issues during content? The platform that we use is spectacular. It records on both sides individually. So even if internet goes out, things like that, we don't have any technical issues on that. So anyway, hopefully that wasn't too long-winded. I kind of blasted through a bunch of frequently asked questions, but I'm sure there's more, and I'm happy to show everything that we have in terms of transparency. And if you have any other specific questions for the next video, let me know.